So I want to welcome you all to the final day of the Vanier Social Science Festival, which was started in the year 2000 by anthropology teacher Mark Prentice and always features speakers and events across a range of different social science disciplines. I'm going to ask you to turn your electronic devices to silent, please, during the whole presentation, and remain quiet until the end of the question and answer period. I acknowledge that Vanier College is situated within the traditional unceded lands of the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation. I honor and thank the traditional custodians of this land and strive to support Indigenous-led decolonization work. So it's a real pleasure for me to be able to introduce Rafa Islam and Antonia Mabeke, who are Vanier students in the social science department, and it's the first time we've had a presentation just by two students on a stage. It's very brave of them. And I met Rafa last semester in one of my classes, 20th Century History, where she did a short presentation on the Me Too movement, but it was so eye-opening and well done that I asked her if maybe she would like to be part of the festival, and she asked if she could do it with her friend Antonia, and I said, that's a great idea. And of course, they've worked on it together to make it a longer presentation than Rafa's original presentation, but I am really excited that they agreed to do it. And I'll introduce them a little bit. So both Rafa and Antonia were born in Montreal and grew up in immigrant families. So Rafa is from a Bangladeshi family and Antonia from a Congolese family. And they are very interested here in psychology and women and gender studies. So they have majored in these areas and are currently third-year social science students who are going to be graduating soon and going on to university and various studies of sociology, political science, social work, social services, because they want to make a difference in their lives, in their communities, and to work on contributing their time for advocacy for social movements, for social justice. So we've got wonderful ambassadors from Vanier who are going to go out into the world. The whole theme of this week, Speaking Truth to Power, is really thanks to Rafa's initial talk about the Me Too movement, where she brought this in as an important aspect of the Me Too movement, and it really stuck with me, and that's why this whole festival took that as its main theme. So I thank Rafa for that as well. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to them, and thank you for coming.
I don't know.
What inspired you about Toronto Brook?
I don't know. I've always been very interested into the women justice, women rights. Oh, there you go. Finally.
Wait,
okay.
Finish your sentence, then we can.
Okay. I was always very interested by the women's right, and I found out about Toronto. I don't even know how I found out about her. I think I was reading about the female's right, and her name popped up. You know what? I'm gonna look her into it. Yep. And I got inspired, and I was like, you know what? This could be a great way of learning and bringing a bit more awareness around me and my friends, and now all of this.
Awesome.
Okay, so we'll start. So once again, we're here. We're not here to tell you our way of thinking is the right way of thinking. We're just here to bring a bit more awareness to our society, to this school, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
You have anything else to add?
No, I said the disclaimer, so same thing.
Perfect. So today we'll be talking about these particular topic. So we'll talk about who started the whole foundation, the beginning of it, the popularization of it, the impacts, the couple of different stories, and many other things. So before we start on the whole presentation, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same base. So I'll be just defining a couple of different concepts so we can all understand each other and understand what's happening today. So the first concept here is sexual harassment. Sexual harassment includes unwanted sexual advances such as requests for sexual favors or any other form of sexual behavior at workplace or at a learning institution. And just a disclaimer, I pulled out these definitions from the dictionary and from the dictionary directly. So if your definition differs a little bit from what I'm saying today, it's totally fine. It doesn't mean I'm saying it is the right definition. So next, sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is referred to as a sexual act committed against a child, a teenager, or a vulnerable adult by someone in possession of power or authority. Sexual abuse, not often, not always, involves sexual abuse as abusive act over a longer period of time and incorporate grooming behavior. Grooming is a gradual, calculated process by which sex offender draws a victim into sexual relationship and maintains that relationship in secrecy. The grooming process involves many steps, including targeting their victim, gaining their trust, filling a need that the victim has, following by making their relationship unique and isolating them from the outside world, so they do not realize that they're being victimized. And lastly, sexual assault is a threatening violence force and to which someone has not been given consent or was not able to give consent. And most of the time, the sexual assault is referred to one act that is taken only place once, compared to sexual abuse that is a sexually abusive act taken place over a longer period of time. Sexual assault includes penetration of the victim's body, attempt of rape, forcing a victim to perform sexual acts such as oral sex or penetration of the predator's body, folding, and unwanted sexual touching. So these are the definitions that we based our entire presentation on. So we'll try our best to be using the proper concept during the whole presentation. But once again, like I said, if your definition differs from mine a little bit, it's totally fine.
Now that we have the definitions out of the way, let me talk to you about the creator of the Me Too movement. A lot of people might recognize the creator as the person who tweeted about it first, so Alyssa Milano, but actually the creator of the Me Too movement is Tarana Burke. So Tarana Burke was born in Bronx, New York in 1973. She was an activist since a young age, since her childhood. She fights against racism, gender inequality, and sexual violence, obviously. During her teenage years, she was in the 21st Century Movement. This is an organization that helps teenagers and young adults in her neighborhood in the Bronx. And Tarana was also a survivor of 2 occurrences of sexual assault. So her experience with sexual assault, her testimony really inspired her to create the Me Too movement. And thus, it was created in 2006 on MySpace.
So it all started on MySpace. So for the people who don't know what's MySpace, is the ancestor of Facebook. So it was the first ever social media that the internet had. And it was one page, it was the creator page called Just Be Inc. So the Me Too movement wasn't always called the Me Too movement. It started off as Just Be Inc. And their first goal was to help young women and young girls to understand sexual assault, sexual victim, what it is to be a victim, and develop a sense of self-worth and confidence. So within days of creating this page, they started to receive a response, 20 to 30 response a day, and people asking how they could help and how is there anything they can do. And once they started to receive young girls into their into their office, they realized that many girls did not know that they were being sexually assaulted because no one had given them any education or knowledge on what was sexual assault. So they made their goal to educate all girls, and mostly black and brown girls, because statistically speaking, black, brown, and indigenous women are the most sexually assaulted, with the statistic of 60% of black women and 63% of indigenous women are sexually assaulted every year. I'm not invalidating any our white society either. I'm just saying that people of color do get sexually assaulted more often than white women.
There's also disabled people that are affected by sexual assault a lot. Now, the statistic that we have on screen is the number of sexual assaults reported to the police in Canada. So, as of 2021, it was 34,242. Now, there's also a statistic by Statistic Canada it's a bit dated since it's from 2011. Per year, it was 460,000 about occurrences of sexual violence per year. So it's quite of a lot. And if we put the statistics, we match them together, that will make a lot of people. If we continue, now we go to about 10 years later. And there is multiple women that are coming out about their stories about Harvey Weinstein. Now, Harvey Weinstein is a Hollywood Mongol. He's very famous in the film industry. And essentially what happened, many actresses like Salma Hayek, Lupita Nyong'o, and Cara Delevingne came out with accusations against him. Now, he later got sentenced to 23 years in prison because of the Me Too movement, which I'm gonna get to. He got added more years due to a trial that happened this year in Los Angeles. He got added 16 years. And that makes about 39 years in total. Now, as you can see the tweet here, due to this entire situation developing in 2017, Alyssa Milano, an actress, decided to take it to Twitter after a suggestion of a friend. She asked her audience to write Me Too, hashtag Me Too, in the comments or post to see the magnitude of the situation, to see how many people get affected by this. And overnight, thousands and millions of people over Facebook, Twitter, or now X, and Facebook have responded to this. Many people are saying, Me Too, this happened to me. Me Too, this is my testimony, and just Me Too. And it's also important to know. It's also important to know, to put in perspective the issue of intersectionality. Now, for those who don't know what intersectionality is experiences formed by race, class, and gender. Now, as I mentioned before, Tarana Burke was working on Me Too since 2006, and it's only after Alyssa Milano put out this tweet. But Alyssa Milano is obviously very different from Tarana Burke. She's a higher class white woman, but not to invalidate her opinions or anything, or to invalidate other
her
white
experience.
Yeah, her experience. It just shows that when people like Tarana, who is black and middle class, sometimes they don't get much attention like Milano got before.
So next, the impacts that Me Too brought after Alyssa tweeted this tweet in 2017 is that more and more women started to come out and share their stories. it brought awareness to the society, and it helped. And for more and more women started to come forward, and for many women, getting the only justice they were getting, it was through social media by exposing their predators, because they never came out when it happened, or even if they. The biggest example we can witness because of the Me Too movement happened was the R&B singer R. Kelly. So for years he was accused of sexually assaulting girls and women around his workplace, but he never got the consequences he deserved. But after in 2019, all the victim of R. Kelly came together and started to share their story. And in 2019, they came out with a documentary called Survivor R. Kelly. And guys, if you have the time to go see it, please go see it, because it's a beautiful documentary, because you see a community coming together, and you see that how much power we can have if we all stick together and we make a difference. So after the coming out of the Survivor R. Kelly documentary, there was action taken. R. Kelly was got sentenced to 30 years of prison. Do I think it's enough for everything he put women through? No, but it was it was a win for many victims.
It was some type of justice for anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, there's also other people, not only in the music industry, but also in comedy. Another impact of the Me Too movement is when 5 women came on the New York Times, and accused Louis C.K. of alleged sexual misconduct. Now, I'm saying alleged not to invalidate these survivors, but actually because he did not get trialed, there was no trial and he was not sentenced, unfortunately. But there was some repercussions given to him that I'm going to explain in a minute. So essentially what happened, he was accused of sexual misconduct, like I said, and he got, so he, essentially what he did to this woman is some sexual acts without their consent in front of them. And when news came out of this, he did lose his specials on Netflix, and many of his shows got canceled. However, he admitted to his allegations, and right after he admitted to his allegations, he still won a Grammy at the Grammy Awards for a comedy album. Now, this shows really like the amount of power imbalance in many of these cases, because a lot of these people have a lot of power and privilege. And this shows sometimes when we are still talking about these things, the perpetrators are still in a good place. They're still in power. That's, yeah.
So when we talk about sexual assault, we often relate the topic to women, which is unfortunate because men also get sexually assaulted, but men don't come out as often that women do because of how the society has built them. Because the society has told them that you have to be strong, you have to take it, you are not allowed to be weak. And men, we do have a couple of men who came out, such as Terry Crews right here. He is known as a actress, and he has made a couple of series, and he was part of many movies, and he's a host in American Got Talent, and he's loved by millions. But in October 2017, he came out saying that, "Me too, I got sexually assaulted." And in an interview, he said that he did not come out before because he was scared that his career will take a hit and no one would believe him, because his sexual predator was Adam Levite, a Hollywood executive who has a lot of power in the Hollywood industry. So this is another example of intersectionality, because you can see that even though he has an amazing fan base and people love him, he was still afraid of coming out and telling people that, yeah, I got sexually assaulted. So what happened? what is alleged to happen, because it was never proven, is he was attending a Hollywood party, and Adam Bennett, his predator, came up to him and he grabbed his genitalias. So this is a act of sexual abuse, and he never came out till 2017.
Now, Terry Crews, after he came out about this, he still got reprimanded by a lot. Some people were talking about how why he didn't defend himself since he looked so strong. Why didn't you do anything? Why? But this is a prime example of toxic masculinity, and I know it's kind of a buzzword for many, but let's explain the definition. So according to the Oxford Dictionary, toxic masculinity is a set of behaviors that are stereotypically associated with men, and it's really upheld by our society. Coming out as a survivor of sexual assault, it really goes against alleged the handbook of toxic masculinity. And like I mentioned earlier, when men come out as a survivor, like this happened to me, a lot of the times they will get reprimanded and they will get questioned or in a weird way, like I mentioned earlier.
And one last thing, Terry Crews was not the only famous person who came out.
Yep.
We can name a couple, such as Justin Bieber. We all know him. He's a very popular singer. As a teenager, when he first started his career, he got unwanted kissed on stage. We could name many others, such as a hockey player called Kyle Beach. Am I forgetting anyone?
Cal Beach. There was also Anthony Rapp.
Yeah, exactly. So there are so many men. So once again, this society has built our men so they cannot come out, but it's totally fine to come out, and and you're allowed to raise your voice to anything that happens to you.
Now, unfortunately, it's not only adults that get sexually assaulted. There's also children. An example that we have here is the Duggar family. So a Duggar family, it's a family that appeared on TLC on the show 19 and Counting. So it's a big family, 19 kids and plus, I think now. So essentially what happened in 2005, Josh Duggar, one of the sons, sexually abused 4 of his sisters and a family friend, and this was found out in 2015, 10 years later. Now he did not face repercussions immediately, since it was his father that found out about what he did, but his father brought him to the sheriff, who he was friends with at the time, and the sheriff gave him a stern talk. So another example of power imbalance when it comes to these things, since the father, he's supposed to do something, take action for his daughters, but instead he covered it up. Now, when the public found out about this, 2 of Josh's sisters who he sexually assaulted, Jill and Jessa Duggar, they were coerced into defending him on national television. And while they were in the interview, his brother was in the room while they were defending him, quote unquote. However, now they came out today. They said they are saying that this was uncomfortable. They were not okay with this, and obviously it's not a good thing to go through. Now, this is not a closed issue neither. It doesn't only happen in the US, that's where the Duggar family is from, but there's also Canada. In Quebec, l'Institut National de la Santé Publique du Québec, they reported that 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 20 boys would face sexual assault before the age of 15, and that is a lot. And we can see this with the many headlines that maybe some of you have seen with the sexual assault cases that happens in schools, in elementary schools and in high schools. many of these cases were involved with teachers, coaches, sometimes with even students. And I put in a picture of La Voix des Jeunes Comtes. They are an organization that advocates against these situations, and they also advocate for a new law for students of elementary schools and high schools to get protected like we are protected here. However, the Minister of Education is not taking this too seriously. The Minister of Education, Mr. Drainville, he did said that there is a law that quote unquote protects these children. However, it involves a lot of things that are not friendly to kids. The DPG would be immediately involved and the police, but it's not taken in a matter where kids or these students will be comfortable in, like we are comfortable going to a counselor to talk to them about it instead of getting police directly involved.
So let's talk about a couple of stereotypes. So the first stereotype we hear when we talk about sexual assault among women is, what were they wearing? Let me tell you, women do not dress because we want to be approached. We dress because we feel comfortable. We dress because we feel confident in our skin. We dress because according to our mood in the morning. So we often hear the excuses such as, why would she dress like this if she didn't want sex? Or why would she dress like this if she didn't want the attention? These excuses should not be valid anymore. We dress because we are comfortable. And we see this kind of stereotypes and objectification anywhere we go, including this very own school. On VC Confession, I have read so many saying this girl was, her breast was hanging out, or her shorts were too short. Maybe we're wearing this because it's 38 degrees outside. We're not planning to wear a snowsuit on 38 degrees. So stop, I'm not gonna say stop objectifying because people will keep doing it, but women do not dress to impress other men or women or anyone but ourselves in the mirror. And the next thing I want to talk about is education. Sex ed is not included into our education, which it should be, because our kids from a really young age, they need to learn about consent. They need to know what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. And I'll be honest, in all honesty, I had one sex ed class in high school, and it was not even a real sex ed class. It was a science class where they talked about human anatomy. We didn't mention consent, we didn't mention anything along those lines. But however, we had 3 classes dedicated to drug ed, which I'm not saying drug ed is not important. It's really important when it comes to our society, but it would be really nice to have at least one sex ed class that is somewhat decent for all of our kids.
Now, for the women that are coming out about their experiences, a lot of people might think that Me Too is just a silly trend. It's just, okay, everybody's doing it. But it's really not the case. A lot of people are coming out now because there is a space for it. Back in 2006 or like in the 90s or anything, it wasn't as, it was taboo in a sort. Talking about these things. Now there is a space for it. There's a space to take care of the victims. There is a space to take care of these things. And that is why a lot of people are coming out about it. And not only that, it is, keep in mind that it is not an easy thing to come out about sexual assault. It is not fun, and it's not like a
People
nice thing
don't talk
to do.
about it.
Yes.
Every day. It's not easy for women or men to come out about this.
Mm-hmm. And so that's why it takes a lot of time for survivors to talk about it, to come out about their stories, to even take legal action against their perpetrators. And sometimes when survivors and victims would talk about their stories, they are threatened by their perpetrators or the person who did the crime. And this is an example that I have here is the situation that happened during the Women's Cup, FIFA, during the summer. So maybe some of you have heard of what happened during the summer. Essentially, what happened is Jenny Hermoso, that's her picture over there, she got sexually harassed, by Luis Rubiales. So what happened during the ceremony of the finale was Mr. Rubiales kissed her without her consent. And only when Jenny decided to take action with her teammates, he threatened her with legal action and pressured her and her family to support him, quote unquote, because he was getting reprimanded by the public because it was on international television of some sort. And this happens with a lot of victims and survivors. A lot of them will be threatened with legal action, like we saw, threatened with the loss of their job, the loss of their reputation, or anything.
So now let's talk about a little mini guide for all of you so you can have a better and a happier relationship with your partner or with anyone you're seeing. So the first thing I would like to, the first to your partner doesn't just only show that you respect their body and them as a person, but it also shows that you care about them, you care about their well-being, their safety, which is, I'm not gonna lie, if you ask consent more often, the girl will be, it's really appealing to someone asking them consent. The next advice is have a safe word. Safe word will not only keep you safe, but will keep your partner and yourself from being in an undesired situation. So the concept is fairly simple, is a word that you pick together. So like a word that you pick together that will help you.
That will help you during intercourse.
Yeah, exactly, or any other intimate moment. So let's take an example to make it a little bit easy. So let's say that you and your partner decide that your safe word is candle. And it's late at night, you're getting comfortable, you're getting intimate, and you ask consent. You have done everything right till that moment. And she said yes. And you're really getting into it, and all of a sudden you hear your partner say candle. So what that words mean is she's not comfortable anymore, because for many women, saying no directly is a really hard thing to say, because you want to make the other person happy, and you want to be in this situation because you said yes at the beginning. So the moment you hear the word candle, you stop doing whatever you're doing, no matter how much you're enjoying it. You stop doing so, because that means your partner is not comfortable no longer. And another thing I want to point out that people do not talk about is sexual assault happens in marriage. It doesn't mean you're married to someone that you can ask for sex at any moment of the time. So that's why, once again, safe word is such an important thing, because we're trying to avoid as much sex. We're trying to slow down as much as we can when it comes to sexual assault.
Also, it's important to mention that consent can be retrieved from any moment. It's a thing. Consent is an ongoing thing. So the person might say yes in the beginning, but if they're not pleased with anything else that you're doing, they might say stop. They are allowed to say no. It's a part of their bodily autonomy. It's about it's in their control. It should be in their control.
And the last thing I want to mention before we move on, the last advice is talk about sex with your partner. Talk about it, because not only you will learn their limits, you will also learn their dislikes and likes, and you will create a deeper and a more profound bond between you guys.
Now,
sorry.
Of course, we're not going to talk about these subjects without putting resources available for everyone. So we thought of a few resources here. especially at Vanier. So at Vanier, there's the one-stop service where at Student Services, it is overseen by Ms. Campbell. Here we have her name and email and phone number. For Mario, email and phone number. So, and there's also counseling available in Vanier. And for Vanier Student Services, if it doesn't matter if it happened at school or outside of school, they will be there to help you at any time. Yeah, and then the first one that I put here is the organization that I mentioned before, La Voix des Jeunes Comptes. So La Voix des Jeunes Comptes, like I said, they are advocating for a law to protect students in elementary schools and in high schools. They created the hashtag #MeTooScolaire, which is another impact from Toronto. And we have the Montreal Sexual Assault Center that is also open to victims and survivors for the same services that I mentioned before, like at Student Services.
Thank you so much. Do any of you have questions to ask? There's a mic in the back.
Oh my God. My legs are dying.
You might have missed something, but if you're confused about anything, don't be shy.
I can't. I'm on a stage. You don't sit down on stage. Okay, so there's a question.
Thank you.
Thank you guys once again for coming. If ever you want to talk to it, the school is here for you. You can talk to us, even though we don't know you very well. We will listen. We'll help you out as much as we can.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna get off the stage.